Perhaps the most anticipated movie of 2008 was The Dark Knight, the second installment of the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. The movie was already going to be huge, and the unexpected death of Heath Ledger, who was portraying the Joker in the film, added even more buzz to the release. Six Flags looked to capitalize on the film's popularity by adding 3 new coasters to the parks, all themed to The Dark Knight. These would be well-themed indoor Wild Mouse coasters built by Mack Rides with a price tag of $7.5 million. One was set to go to Six Flags Great America in Illinois, another was tagged for Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey, and the third one was sent to Six Flags New England in Massachusetts. Construction started in all 3 of these rides in early 2008, but only 2 of them were finished. What happened to the Dark Knight coaster at Six Flags New England? To understand the saga of the Dark Knight coaster at Six Flags New England, let's first meet the cast. Larry Litton, the Six Flags New England park president, and seemingly a bit of a corners cutter and a gambler. Dominic Urbaniti, building inspector with the God Complex. Gary Safridi and James Marmo, members of the ever-so-popular Zoning Board of Appeals. Melissa Pinkerton, Six Flags public relations manager who skillfully has to explain away some shady behavior. Karen Connor and Michael Biscaldi, local business owners with a beef against Six Flags. The city of Agawam, the little town desperately trying to keep everybody happy. The Dark Knight coaster was announced on September 27, 2007, and was slated to open on Memorial Day weekend the following year. Park President Larry Litton stated that the coaster represented the park's commitment to growing a well-rounded and balanced entertainment package. It was their first indoor coaster, and it appealed to kids, teenagers, and families. The ride experience was meant to put you in the middle of Gotham City while it was being tormented by the Joker, and the only hope to be saved is if Batman came to the rescue. On February 20th, 2008, the building's frame was already standing when a building inspector issued a stop work order on the project. The inspector, Dominic Urbaniti, stated that the work done so far was done unlawfully without permits. There were never proper construction documents filed, and Urbaniti stated that there was no way that he could ensure the project would meet the state building codes that would ensure public safety, including fire suppression systems and easily accessible exits. 2 members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Gary Safridi and James Marmo, made a surprise visit to the construction site.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
This was done shortly before the stop work order was issued, and they quickly realized that they'd been working on the construction site for months without a building permit. Six Flags had been seeking a height variance for the project since the 70-foot building was almost twice as high as what the city would allow. Urbaniti said, "This is a huge building. It isn't a little shed." While they were going before the Board of Appeals, it appears that they were building this building. Six Flags public relations manager Melissa Pinkerton was asked why construction was ongoing without a building permit, and ultimately she dodged the question. She said, "We're working closely with the town so that all parties will be satisfied."
I thought my jokes were bad.
So basically, Six Flags had submitted the initial documents, but were still making adjustments to them prior to approval, and Urbaniti stated, "They have to stop work until they've satisfied the Massachusetts State Building Code in my eyes."
Oh, good for you!
One theory for why Six Flags decided to jump the gun on the approval process is that they would rather get started and then be delayed, rather than wait for months for official approval and then get started too late to meet their Memorial Day weekend goal. February rolled into March, and while Six Flags was still waiting for their stop work order to be lifted, 2 of their jilted neighbors, Karen Connor and Michael Biscaldi, who were owners of the adjacent used car business, hired a lawyer and contested the special permit they were requesting to build a 70-foot building for the ride. The appeal contended that the structure was not appropriate for the location and would adversely affect traffic, safety, and property values in the neighborhood.
Let's not blow this out of proportion.
There was concern from these neighbors as well as the zoning board that Urbaniti might be pressured to issue the building permit in short order.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
Gary Safridi was concerned that if Six Flags was able to get away with what they had done, it would set a bad precedent.
Why so serious?
Six Flags was legally allowed to proceed with the project during the appeal process as long as they recognized the risk that if the appeal succeeded and they lost, all of their work would need to be scrapped.
I certainly hope not.
Park President Larry Litton said, We're still hoping to open by Memorial Day weekend, but the town of Agawam is sure making it difficult to do that. He also stated that a Memorial Day weekend opening is no longer realistic. We did start construction before we had all the construction permits, but we did not expect the uproar this has caused.
Oh, you have no idea.
The night is darkest just before the dawn. The dawn is coming.
2 weeks after the appeal from the jilted neighbors, the planning board approved the revised site plan for the project, which improved drainage and moved the building 10 feet away from the old Batman stunt show storage garage, which allowed better access in and out of the building in case of emergency. This was the first of several steps the park needed to clear the way for Urbaniti to issue a building permit. Six Flags was hoping the Conservation Commission would grant their approval a week later, and then a week after that they would seek approval from the Zoning Board of Appeals. There was a lot of tension between the park, the mayor, and the planning board. By the end of March, it appeared that everything would get back on track, and the park president expressed his frustration with the city, but was also trying to mend bridges.
Let's put a smile on that face.
The mayor was sympathetic to the park's situation, but still scolded them for starting the project without the proper permits. Planning Board Acting Chairman Travis Ward said, "We treat everybody equally. We appreciate Six Flags as a good neighbor, but this was an issue of the town becoming aware that something wasn't quite right. This has to do with following the letter of the law and protecting public safety." The Conservation Commission approved the revised plans, so all that was left was the Zoning Board of Appeals. When the revised plans were presented to them, they rejected it. Less than a week later, the park removed the Dark Knight coaster from their website and took down the press release from the ride's announcement from 2007. The national page was changed to only advertise the Dark Knight coaster coming to 2 parks instead of 3. 5 days later, Six Flags made it official. Bureaucracy did what the Joker could never do.
Kill the Batman.
It killed the Dark Knight. The official line from the park was that they were under a tight construction schedule, and there were other unforeseen delays that led to their decision to kill the project entirely.
It's gone.
While all this was going on, the park developed a contingency plan to replace the Dark Knight coaster with something else, and they came up with Glow in the Park, a nighttime parade featuring floats and performers decked out in glow sticks. So here is the aftermath of the death of the Dark Knight at Six Flags New England. Batman the Dark Knight is a B&M floorless that opened in 2002, and it was supposed to be renamed to Batman the Ride for the 2008 season so guests wouldn't be confused by 2 rides named the Dark Knight. It got to keep its name after this debacle. Six Flags New England's Dark Knight coaster was packed up and shipped off to Six Flags Mexico, and it was open for the 2009 season.
En un viaje tan intenso, tan inesperado, desearás que solo sea una película. Porque si no le tienes miedo a la oscuridad, ahora lo tendrás. La única montaña inmersa en la oscuridad. The Dark Knight Coaster. Primavera 2009. Six Flags Mexico.
Larry Litton served as park president until 2010. It's unclear where Dominic Urbaniti is today, but I'm sure he's still out there crushing people's dreams. But in all seriousness, as far as blame goes, it seems that Six Flags tried to pull a fast one on the city to get construction going. The city took offense, and they were less than flexible once Six Flags tried to work with them to legitimize the project. You would think that the little town would be more accommodating to the only thing putting it on the map, but I guess not.
Six Flags New England launches the new DC Cyborg, a totally unique, multi-dimensional thrill ride that will spin you into the future.
In 2019, Six Flags New England is installing their first indoor ride since their attempt at opening the Dark Knight. Cyborg Hyperdrive will live in the Hall of Justice building, so luckily for the park, they don't need to deal with the city to build a new structure. Don't worry, Six Flags New England fans, you would get your Batman-themed Wild Mouse.
Six Flags is a leader in innovation for the theme park world. They're constantly researching new rides and attractions to add to all their theme parks across the country, and their 2011 lineup was no exception. And located near Springfield, Massachusetts, Six Flags New England introduces its 10th coaster to the park. Gotham City Gauntlet will definitely keep you on the edge of your seat.
In 2011, the park looked to the then standing but not operating Kentucky Kingdom and harvested their Wild Mouse. Gotham City Gauntlet, Escape from Arkham Asylum, opened on April 16, 2011, one day after the 3-year anniversary of the announcement that the Dark Knight project was scrapped, and it uses the same plot of land as the coaster that never came to be.